All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this show on the road. Welcome to episode 36 of the Life Short, Live Free podcast, the best damn freedom podcast out there. This is the hangover episode. Yesterday we had the Meriden Fire Benefit Golf Tournament.
That is a mouthful.
Down there in Quimby. For some reason, we were talking to like Wisconsinites all day long.
I blame that on Johnson.
Why?
Oh, don't you know? You talk like that all the fucking time there, eh?
Well, that's Irish.
That was Irish. That had nothing to do with Wisconsin.
That was not Irish.
It was a poor attempt
that was straight Irish.
You can straight go f*** yourself, boy.
Anyways, yep, it is Sunday afternoon, and we're in recovery mode.
Well, two of us are. Two of us aren't hungover. The brothers got the worst of it yesterday.
You know, we had a damn good time. It was worth it.
It
was worth it.
How shocked were you when you saw my text this morning and saw I was actually at Johnson's house that early cutting down that apple tree?
I guess I didn't notice the time. I didn't see it till like 10 when I got up.
Well,
he didn't even know I was there.
I didn't even know he was there. Was the scary part. Like, my dogs bark if a four-wheeler drives down the gravel. Mm-hmm. They bark at anything they get the chance to bark at.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard a peep out of them. Wyatt and I go down. Like, I'd let the dogs out and stuff. Wyatt and I were like, oh, let's go down and let the chickens out and let them roam for a while. So I go let chickens out. We got one chicken that's getting real broody, wanting to hatch an egg, so she just stays in the nesting box all day. So I go throw her out of the nesting box, turn around, walk back up to the house. There's no fucking apple tree, and Toad's truck is parked there. I was like, well, what in the hell?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a surprise because I don't know how many months that Toad has been saying that he was going to come cut this apple tree down. But it's been a few
since last year.
Yeah,
ever since we started shooting out there.
9 months.
Gotta cut that apple tree down.
Yep.
But yeah, this is a podcast is sponsored by Ballistic Imagery. Check them out at ballisticimagery.com as well as Facebook and Instagram. For all your photography needs.
Or videography.
And videography as well.
You need a nice commercial done? Call him up.
Absolutely.
He's the man.
Absolutely. So yeah, like I said, yesterday was a golf tournament. How did you guys feel about how you golfed?
Actually, not bad.
I felt pretty good.
We all golfed pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, until about the last 3 holes. We really just nosedived. The beer to ball or beer to skill ratio just didn't work in our favor at the end there,
and for somehow we finished with a 66, right?
Yeah,
that was third place on the six. Some team won third place with a 66, so we just got unlucky and they didn't pick us or whatever. So I don't know how much they won. Last year we ended up winning like $300 at that tournament. So
and we were 5 over,
right? Yeah, but. And the deal with this tournament was they tried to keep it going speedily, which it didn't work.
Don't tell them that.
But they did a
just let them think we're good.
They're gonna watch our video and know that we suck ass.
Right.
But it was a 2-putt minimum or 2-putt maximum. So if you on the green, you putt once. Well,
and then you pick up your ball.
You pick up your ball essentially, and it was made to keep it going, but.
It sure didn't help.
But
it sure didn't help expedite the tournament.
There's 3 teams on a fucking hole.
Per hole, yeah.
So instead of everybody just kind of hitting it once, every single team waited for like, why don't we all just fucking hit? If you're on different sides of the drive or the fairway, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, and that would have made it go a lot faster. But golf etiquette, you know.
Yeah. Well, and the two other teams that we were with, they were pretty concerned with golf etiquette. They really were.
The winner gets the box. And everything.
They were worried about oh no, you guys got an eagle on the last hole. You guys have the box. It's like, we don't give a shit. Just hurry up and hit the ball. I have never spent 8 hours golfing 18 holes. That is the longest round of golf I've ever played in my entire life.
Shit, we did 18 holes in Marcus
in 2 hours
in like 3 hours. Remember that?
Yeah, three or four at the very most.
Yeah, it's but I mean, you do have to assume there's 2 people when you guys go play 18 holes in 3 hours. There's 12 people hitting, you know. But and that was another thing. We never really. Every hole was full, and there was 3 teams on every hole, and we never got slowed up or had people waiting on us.
Yeah, just a few times we had to wait to tee off, but it wasn't.
But
a
it
very
like
long wait
4
or anything.
minutes.
Yeah,
You know, it's not like
that was to be expected.
Yeah.
So
I was actually pretty surprised with how smoothly everything kind of ran, and there wasn't a lot of people waiting around.
Box, you golfed pretty decent for only golfing once a year. How'd you feel about it?
I was pretty happy with my performance.
Yeah,
Usually I start off with 3 or 4 drivers in the dirt, but I actually connected. I was happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to please me when it comes to golf.
I was fairly impressed, though. You golfed really well.
Well, and saved our ass a few times, too.
Yeah.
Where it was like, well, box is up, none of us have anything worth a shit, and he'd really pull it out when he needed to. So
until the last 3 or 4 holes.
Yeah.
Then
I
you
couldn't hit the ball at all.
Yeah.
You reverted back to your usual golf.
Well, and I think that was all of us the last 3 or 4 holes. I think we were all expecting a fairly nice day. We were talking like a high of 79 degrees and, cloud cover all day. It was hot. Like all of us are sunburned. Warm. It was, it was pretty hot out there. So it wore us down a little bit by the, last few holes. I think all of us were getting a little beat from being in the sun.
Something happened to me on that I think it was hole 1. I went to hit and about just all of a sudden, like vertigo. And I don't know if you saw me leaning on my golf or my driver, but I was like, what the was that? Because I'm
about to tip over.
I wasn't hammered at that point by any means. We just ate. I mean,
yeah.
But something happened, and I don't know if it was all those Peptos I ate or something beforehand, but like something shifted, and I was like, "Oh God!" Like the world went, like a glitch in the Matrix, and I was like, "Oh shit! I can't hold on to the earth."
Maybe that's what it was.
A glitch in the Matrix?
Maybe. And if you watch our video, our golf blog kind of vlog video, we'll tell you the story about on our way down there. Like we damn near freaking put 2 carts and a trailer in the fucking river.
Yeah,
that would have ruined the entire day too. Like you fuck your carts up. I mean, what do you do? There was no carts to use.
Yeah.
And we borrowed a cart and somebody else's golf trailer.
Because we only had a trailer that would hold 1 cart, so we had to borrow a double cart trailer.
Right.
And we had to borrow a second cart because Sam's got 1. Oh, man.
Well, we probably could have just drove Tony's down there. That thing's freaking fast. So.
Yeah. Yeah. God,
I forget what he did to that. I'm pretty sure it doesn't really have a governor anymore.
No, it doesn't. It got rowdy though. It got a little bucky there.
Yeah, Johnson was just oh God. It's like
that's not what he was saying.
I didn't know if Toad was like helping you out in the front seat or what the hell was going on there.
I was confused, and I looked over at him, and he's like, oh fuck. I'm like, what? And he's looking in the rear view, and I was like, uh-oh. So I look on the side. Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was definitely an
oh, man.
That trailer was trying to pistol whip the sides of the bridge.
Yeah.
Dude, it was trying to pass us. Like, it was not very happy about going in a straight line while not attached to anything.
You might want to clean out your back seat, because I might have shit.
Yeah. It got a little rowdy there for a second, but...
Interesting start to the day. But.
Yeah. But, I mean, we can't really complain. Nothing happened.
Yeah, we lucked out.
The wiring was fine. Like, the safety chain was long enough that it kept the tongue off of the ground and short enough that it kept the trailer out of my back bumper or tailgate. The wiring was still attached. Nothing came loose off the trailer. Everything was fine. I got it pulled over. I slowed down pretty gently as I could with, 3,000 pounds shit whipping around in the breeze behind me. Got pulled over. We hooked it back up. We made it there.
And that's actually why you crisscross your chains. So when when it comes off like that, it hits on the chain.
It hangs on the chain
instead of going into the concrete cracks and freaking.
Well, and that thing only had 1 safety chain, so that's kind of where we were at there. But no, shit happens. But
did you tell him about that when you took the trailer back?
I told him last night at the bar. He didn't. I think he was feeling pretty good. He did not give a.
I didn't tell. I forgot. I totally spaced on it, but I talked to him today, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, drinking a beer." I was like, "You're what?" He's
Yeah,
like, hoping to make me feel better.
right. Yeah, I saw him down at Dusky's last night. I think he was feeling pretty good, but I told him about it, and he just did not even. I about put your trailer in the ditch or in the river. He goes, yeah, whatever, and didn't give a fuck. That was a good time to tell him. Apparently,
Right? Yeah. No.
They won that KP to DC.
Really?
Yeah.
Who, him and Rodert and
Abby and Megan.
oh, nice, nice. Well, the whiskey of the week is Bud Light Seltzer. Yeah, it's not a whiskey, and
That's my fault. I left the bottle of Jameson at home.
it's also a seltzer because we're a bunch of sissies on a Sunday afternoon, I guess.
No.
So we can't get Box to drink one. I will bet you $20 if you drink one, you'll feel better by the end of the podcast.
No.
I'm already feeling. I'm already
one.
feeling better.
I don't like seltzers in the first place. I think they're garbage. Plus, I feel absolutely terrible. So
I don't know.
It's
The
called
more
Hair
I
of the Dog.
drink of this mango, it's not so bad. But I drank. Here's
tell
how
you what.
I know I was stupid dehydrated. I drank 5 of those big, long, like smart water bottles today. One of them came out of Johnson's
Hose.
garden hose,
Mhm.
which, by the way, has a bit of a
Metal taste?
yes.
Yes, tastes like iron. That's how you know it's good for you.
Anyway, I drank 5 of those fucking
Right.
things. Peed once.
Well, that's surprising for you. Usually you would have peed like 47 times.
I know.
So
Yeah, that is the best. That's the best hose water to have, though. Is like well water hose water where you can taste the cast iron pipe.
I
that
always
is the
said,
well. Oh.
I always said, well, just drinking from a garden hose has its own taste to it.
Yeah.
But I always said they should offer just water in like convenience stores that tastes like garden hose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's $1 million idea right there. You guys are welcome to use that. Run with it. I don't even need any.
Have you guys
credit for
ever
it.
actually drank from a crystal clear like stream?
Oh yeah. Out in the Black Hills, I've done it many times.
Yep. I did it in the Black Hills, and then the best was outside of Yellowstone. We're in the Tetons, and it was like the first day of summer, but there's still snow all over the place. And it was running. It was cold. It was just crystal clear. Dad walks over there. Of course, my dad's crazy. And he just goes, he had a coffee cup. He's like, "Oh, I'm thirsty. That's pretty good. Come try this."
I did. I drank out of we got lost in the Canadian Rockies one time. And we were for several hours. We were just completely lost when we were snowboarding. And I drank out of one that time, and it was damn good. But I mean, really, if you think about it, it's all that. I mean, you don't really need to. Yeah, it's coming from the top of the mountain. There's not a bunch of shit and nasty stuff up there. So I mean, it's fairly safe to.
Yeah, I mean,
Other than
partake.
moss, dead animals, things like that.
well, I mean,
Don't be a
humans
pussy.
drank out of rivers for thousands and thousands of years, but
Right.
around here you can't do that because A, every river we have here is mud, and 2, chemical runoff.
And 2.
Yeah. And that sounds like something I would say, Toad.
Oh, I did that. I didn't even realize I did that.
Definitely. That's definitely a salmon.
Goddamn seltzer's getting to me.
No, I think, you definitely can't drink out of like the West Fork. Because look at all the farmers that, you spray around the river. It's inevitable that
The amount
it
of
will
dead
get
cattle.
in there.
Plus, all our rivers are dirty, muddy, nasty.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't drink out of that shit.
What if
anyways.
we should try out one of those life straws?
I think
They're
I
really
got
hard to. I have
think I
one,
got one.
and they're really hard to get started.
Yeah.
Like it
To
hurts.
actually pull the
It hurts
water
your
through
jaws.
It. Yeah.
You're like, you
Yeah.
about pass the out.
Got to really suck on them,
Yeah, you'd be all right at it. I hear.
huh?
I think we should just have Sam start all of them. And make it
I heard you could suck start a leaf blower.
You guys are hilarious. So, I'm sure you guys have heard of this. But that guy down there, where was it at? Was this Texas? It was Texas. Was it in Austin? Was it
Austin or Houston?
one of those 2 liberal strongholds? But anyway, it was at a BLM protest. A guy walking around with a AK47 got smoked. So essentially what happened was, and there's so many different stories coming out right now, you don't know what the truth is. But basically a car was driving through this protest, and people surrounded the car, and you've all seen the videos. A lot of the times it involved us beating on the car and, trying to break out the windows. And I haven't watched this video, so I don't know exactly if it's what was going on there. But anyway, a guy with an AK47 runs up on this car, sprints up to it and gets fucking smoked with a 44 mag. That's what it was, actually, by the way. This guy was not messing around. He carries a fucking 44 mag revolver.
Well, the guy ran up to the vehicle, shouldering at the ready, and they have pictures of him doing it. I saw him the other day. He's like this.
Is he?
Right up in the vehicle, and he's kind of leaning forward, and somebody said he fired shots, and there's people that say he didn't fire any shots. I guess there was multiple shots fired by multiple people.
Yes, there was 3 guns involved.
And
yeah.
But if you run up on somebody and somebody's in that situation, if you were that guy in that vehicle and you're just trying to go about your freaking day and you get all these people out there and they're swarming your vehicle, they're kicking it, they're hitting it, they're smashing your windows, and some dipshit runs up on you with a freaking AK.
You are absolutely in the right to use whatever means necessary to protect yourself.
Life, yeah.
Whether it's a gun, your car, it doesn't matter.
Well, and the other side of it is, I haven't heard if this march was actually a protected. Like, did they block off the streets? Was it a permitted march? Did they block off the street so this car went around the barricades possibly? And if that's the case, that changes things a whole lot. But if if it was just a normal street and he's just cruising down it,
does it change it that much? Should he have been there? No, but does it give everybody else the right to beat the shit out of his car and somebody to come running up at his car with a gun? I don't think it changes it that much.
It depends. I mean,
you still have whether you're not supposed to be somewhere or not, you can still defend yourself.
Well, it depends. If he drove around the barricades to go and cause trouble and
if he malintent is that's part of it. But
I'm pretty sure I saw an article where they let that guy go.
Yeah, I don't think they charged him at this point until more facts come out. But the other part of it was, too, I say that a lot, the other side or the other part of it was, there was a third guy that actually fired at the car when he was driving away. And, what are you doing? How is that possibly going to help anything?
Yeah.
You're not a fucking cop.
Ignorance, man.
And at that point,
person.
At that point, the threat is over. So
is.
that other guy, supposedly he was a licensed carrier, but at that point, when you're firing at a car driving away, you're in the wrong.
Yeah,
the threat is retreating. It's gone. He fucked up. But in the heat of the moment, people do that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Box, you have any thoughts on it?
No. I haven't seen anything from it, so I
think
can't
Box would rather be anywhere but here right now. He just looks so miserable.
I've seen I've heard a lot of, this is what I think happened. This is what I think, this guy was in the right, this guy was wrong. To me, I don't have the whole story, so I can't make a real educated decision on how I feel about it. If somebody runs up on your car with if you're in that situation and somebody runs up on your car with a firearm, you're definitely 100% in the right to use whatever means necessary, whether your car, your vehicle, any other weapon to protect yourself. But yeah, if he went into that crowd with malintent, that makes a difference, but how you'll ever know that, that's so hard to prove. Somebody, malintent is a very difficult thing to prove, whether, unless there's pretty circumstantial evidence, whether it be Facebook posts or text messages or phone calls where he's like, yeah, I'm going to drive into this and, wait for somebody to threaten me and shoot him.
Apparently, though, they interviewed the guy that got shot earlier in the day, and he was talking about
he was talking a bunch of mad shit.
He said basically what he said was he's not going to screw with the cops because if he uses his gun on the cops, he's dead. He said, but he said anybody that's against us, they're all a bunch of pussies. They ain't going to do shit.
Yeah, they're not going to do anything.
And then he gets fucking smoke checked, which is,
ironic, but
it's pretty comical. Let's be honest here. But he had that was his mentality. I mean, he was one of these guys that walks around with a gun and thinks his shit don't stink and he can do whatever he wants.
I want to do whatever I want.
Newsflash.
Everybody's too big of a pussy to deal with me.
Newsflash.
I got a gun. No.
Yeah, and
He
that's
said he was a Air Force veteran too. I guess.
it's just that's part of being, walking around with a gun. You have more responsibility when you strap on that gun. You damn well better know the laws, and you damn well better know how to act.
Well, that's the thing is he is not clearly not just your normal concealed carry, firearms owner. He's obviously just a punk with a gun.
Yeah, and he said the reason he started carrying his AK around was at the protest was his roommate got arrested, so he started carrying an AK. I'm like, why the fuck is that? What do you think you're gonna do?
You're not gonna get arrested, buddy.
He
You're
already
gonna get
said
fucking shot.
Yeah, and he even said that he wasn't going to use it against the cops. So,
Right.
what's the point?
And I mean,
I just want to know.
The guy was obviously kind of
I
in the head. He obviously wasn't very smart.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. Somebody lost their life, even if they were an idiot. But I just want to know what kind of man has the balls to concealed carry a 44 mag.
he was wasn't he a drill sergeant or some shit like that? He was in the military, but I don't recall if he was a drill sergeant or maybe just like a colonel, or I can't even remember. So don't take my word for it.
Have you seen? I'm almost 100%. I read an article. I'm switching up here a little bit. AMT has been reopened, or they got bought, but they're going to start making the auto mags again.
Who?
Arcadia Machine and Tool.
Really?
So like the 44 auto mags.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to educate me on those 44 auto mags. Like just
I'll do it next. That'll be my time traveling with Toad for the next podcast.
Okay.
They're freaking sweet because I went to Remy's because they made, I forget what they made calibers. I think they made a 22 mag, a 44 mag, and I want to say like a 45 or something. But he had a mag sitting on the counter in a plastic baggie. And all I saw was the mag. It's loaded with 22 mag. I knew there's only a couple autoloader 22 mags in the world, Kel-Tec and AMT. And then there's like one other. And I was like, who's got the AMT auto mag? And he just kind of looks at me. Like, how did you know what that was? And I said, who's got it? And he told me who had it. And I was like, do they want to sell it? And he's like, no, they didn't even really know what it was.
They don't deserve to own it.
I guess the guy had gotten it given to him or something, or he'd had it for years and kind of forgot about it. But the 44 auto mag it was actually in
something. It was in something.
It was in one of the Lethal Weapon movies, I believe.
Oh yeah. Boy, those are good movies. I need to rewatch those. All four of them.
I have all four.
Shit. That's how I'm feeling today.
All four of them.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Box is just like, I hate every decision I made yesterday.
It's been a long time since I really got one on like that.
I haven't seen either of you that drunk in probably 5 years.
Yeah, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
We definitely started in the morning. I don't know how I didn't feel like crap this morning.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel all that horrible last night either. Like, I didn't ever really feel super f***ed up. I just got real tired and went to freaking bed. And I woke up this morning at 6. I kind of felt like a little bit of a piece of shit. But then I started drinking water and I went outside and it was just so freaking
No, the
nice
biggest
out.
thing was you took a big shit.
7 of them.
That will make a guy.
Thanks for the updates on that. We appreciate that.
That will make a guy feel like a brand new man in the morning.
Yeah, I had some trouble yesterday.
You get those alcohol-induced drizzle shits done with. Oh, buddy, that is like a whole new lease on life.
I get those all the time without alcohol. So this podcast obviously is the Life Short Live Free podcast. So we talk about freedom is something we try to interweave into the whole podcast.
Yeah.
And we've only asked one of our guests about this, was what freedom meant to them. And I realized, why the hell don't we talk about, that with us? How, like, what, and he actually had a killer response to it. I didn't tell him what, we were asking this question beforehand.
Right.
But his response to it was actually a damn good response.
It really was. It was
impressed
a
with
really
it.
good answer that I wouldn't have expected, I guess.
I don't remember who we're talking about.
Miles.
Oh, that's right.
But and so if you want to hear that episode, go back to, and I don't remember what number it is, but it's entitled "You Betcha." Miles from You Betcha was on that one. So, but I think like I want to talk to each one of you like what freedom really means to you. Number one, and number two, like how did you where does your mindset come from? Like why were you raised to think this way, or was it acquired from your friends or whatever? I mean, as for myself, how I got to be this way, I wasn't really raised like super patriotic. I mean, we were obviously taught to respect the flag and the country and things like that, and we're taught respect, but I really wasn't raised super patriotic at all. And there was even a time in my life when back in, let's see, this must have been, 15 years ago, probably, back when I was just out of high school and the Patriot Act came around. You guys remember when that that came to be? And basically it gave the NSA power to listen in on all our phone calls. So essentially what was going on, and this was the first that we knew about it. The Patriot Act came through. Yeah. And it's ironically named the Patriot Act, even though it takes away all of our fucking free thing. Like seriously. So anyways, at this point, basically the NSA is listening in on your phone calls, and if you say a certain word, it'll trigger it and go to a review. Like, if you're talking about bombs and shit all the time.
Yeah, it was called Echelon.
Really?
Yeah.
So anyways, so they're going to have a human to review that shit, essentially, And I remember back then, it's like, I was just like, well, what do I care if the government listens in on me? If they want to listen to me have phone sex, whatever, I don't care. And it's strange, how much.
Was that something they were likely to hear?
I mean, occasionally. I had some long distance girlfriends back in the day. But it's weird that how you got some seltzer in your nose.
That's not supposed to go in your nose.
I laughed in the middle of, I was drinking and he made me laugh and it went up my nose.
What was I talking about yesterday in your backswing? I let Jessica Alba
fart in your mouth. Yeah, let Jessica Alba fart in my mouth.
He said he'd let Jessica Alba fart in his mouth in my backswing. I started giggling halfway through the swing and just chunked it.
Chunked the heck out of that one. But if you guys know me now, like, that I'm not like that offends the shit out of me, and that kind of
Jessica Alba farting in your mouth.
No, that does not offend me, and I'm even stock sober right now, and I don't take back my words.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But like you guys know that I'm blatantly against abuses of power like that and are infringing on our constitutional rights. So it's interesting like how far my thinking has evolved from back then to now. And I think the biggest change, I wonder how I got to be that way, but I think the biggest change was me getting into guns.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Toad. He sold me my first gun. There was a Effenhurstel 9mm. Hell of a nice little gun.
It was a nice gun. I kind of wish I still had that.
But I think that was really the thing that turned around my thinking, because then I got into looking at our gun rights and starting to take part in that sort of thing and that side of
realizing how much our rights are actually under attack constantly.
Absolutely,
I think is
absolutely.
A big thing.
And I think that was really the turning point in my life. Like, I always was a patriotic guy before, and supported, our law enforcement and everything like that, even though, they pissed me off many times in my younger days, but that was just because I was a dumbass. So,
right. It's because you were breaking the law. Personal
responsibility, folks. But I guess that's kind of my little journey, how I got into the way that I think today, and my love for freedom. But Johnson's, how, like, were you just always this way? Were you always did you always think this way, or were you raised this way, or how?
I don't think I wasn't raised like crazy patriotic, my dad was in the military, and both my grandfathers were in the military. I have other family members in the military, so it was always, it was always talked about. Like we always knew how much it meant to be in the United States, and how we needed to respect the flag, and how we live in the greatest country, and we're
America.
Yeah, my dad talked about it a lot. How great this country is, and how
he said he was in. Did you say what branch he was?
He was in the Army.
Okay.
But
just a short term, just more,
I think 7 years. I think he was in the Army. I did a tour in Korea, like along the DMZ. But yeah, my grandpa on my mom's side was he fought in the Korean War, as well as my grandpa on my dad's side. He also fought in the Korean War. But yeah, so it was always kind of talked about, like being patriotic and, respecting our flag and loving our country, and, and my dad, he was really, he never really talked about freedom necessarily, but he was one of like the live free, life short, live free kind of guys that I knew. He didn't give a damn what was legal or illegal. He was going to do what he wanted to do. He's, well, I don't give a shit that we're on, like people own this riverbank or whatever, and they don't want us to ride four-wheelers here or whatever. He's like, I don't give a shit. We'll go on the sandbar on the river. They don't own the fucking river. We'll go camp here just to tell them to piss off,
Right.
Like he was just the kind of guy that did what he wanted to do, and, but I think getting into guns definitely opened my eyes more to the government's attack on our right. Well, not really the government, but certain people's attacks on our rights. And I would definitely agree with you that that's really where I started truly caring about freedom, and like, making an effort to tell other people about how we need to protect our rights, and, making that kind of a mission of my life, to live my life free, basically. And the way I try and do that mostly is, obviously through my support for the Second Amendment, but also our household, like kind of our little farm out there, just kind of trying to do our own thing and be on our own, and
be more
support
self-sufficient.
be self-sufficient, support ourselves, feed ourselves, not have to, we need to go to the grocery store once a week because, we're out of chicken nuggets. Like, no, we're going to raise our own vegetables and produce our own meat and things like that. So that's something we're definitely working towards, but that's kind of the end goal. And I think that's like a big part of freedom to me, is not being dependent. I think being independent is a big part of being free.
Absolutely, I agree.
So,
yeah,
I guess that's kind of where I stand on it. Is I kind of see freedom and independence being synonymous.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Think of Independence Day. That's our country was started on independence, and I kind of like to continue with that. I like to be independent.
Yeah, absolutely. Toad, same question.
It's kind of similar to Johnson's. I mean, I come from a military family. Dad and both his brothers were in there. A lot of cousins on that side of the family in there too. My great grandfather was a sharpshooter in World War One. I grew up watching Jag with my parents.
Jag. Oh man, I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's on Hulu.
Oh, nice.
Or it was.
Oh, that good looking chick and the little business
Catherine Bell.
skirt and everything.
Grew up watching that, listening to Dad's stories of his travels when he was in the Navy. He was in the Navy for 10 years. And I can remember growing up, I got my first gun when I was 11. Dad always hunted and fished. They grew up dirt poor. They were pretty self-sufficient. Didn't even have plumbing in their house for the first 12 years of Dad's life. They had an outhouse. And so he always kind of had that mentality, I don't need the government to hold my freaking hand,
Yeah.
And he kind of passed it on to me, as I got older. And then I went to college to be a police officer. When I was in college, I joined the Army National Guard. That didn't work out due to medical reasons after about 1.5 years. But I've always been into guns. I kind of got Sam started. It wasn't really so much me that got him started because he talked about it for months and months and months. And finally I was like, well, I'd like to get rid of this one. I'll sell it to you. And that kind of kicked that off. But I didn't so much really care about politics. All I wanted was to be left alone and to hunt and to fish and just do my own thing. Leave me alone. I didn't really give a shit about anything political. Dad, who are you voting for this year? Oh, this guy's pretty good. All right, I'll vote for him. That was like the first time I ever voted. But the more I started actually hanging around Sam and whatnot, it was like, I should really pay attention to these issues. And so for the last 9 years or whatever it is, 8, 10 years, I don't know, that's kind of been my thing. And so as far as freedom goes, for me, it's like live free or die type of thing. Like, I want the government to leave me the alone. Yeah. I don't want your $1,200 stimulus check.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just fine. I've worked every day through this whole shit show that they've created, and it's like, you can't run yourself. You're not going to run me. Yeah. So off. But
yeah, that live free or die thing. It's kind of, leave me alone. The funny thing is, I just saw a thing on Facebook the other day, a meme that was like, just wait until the people who want to be left alone
get involved.
Because that's when the shit's really going to happen. The people who just want left alone and are just, I'm staying out of this, I don't want to be involved. When they need to get involved and they have to, shit's going to get real. Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's just like that guy with the 44 mag in the car. He just wanted to be left the alone, and somebody, nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep, shit gets real when people who want to be left alone have to make, have to take action.
I just can't imagine the kinetic energy of a 44 Magnum on a human body at near point blank range.
I bet it's pretty impressive.
Box, I know you kind of want to be left alone, but
he always wants to be left alone, even right now.
Yeah, just leave me alone.
Same question.
You don't honestly expect me to have a decent answer for this.
I do.
For today, do you?
I think you can manage.
I think he picked this question for today just to with you.
Actually,
probably.
Actually, no. I mean, like, obviously, Box is my little brother. He was raised in the same household as me. But I never saw you, like, I think it was probably in the same time frame when I started getting into guns. When did you get into guns, I guess?
When was it? I bought my first pistol when I was living in Spencer. So probably right around when I turned 21, I bet, when I bought my first pistol. But it was a couple of years or a year before that, maybe, that I bought that little 17 from Ranking with $1 bills.
Why'd you buy it with $1 bills? You working at the strip club or what?
Yeah. No, I was just saving up my $1 bills.
Oh,
I just
do the same
throw
thing.
them all in, like, kind of like with change and shit. But
Right.
I got one thing to add to this. So I've been a gun nut pretty much my entire life. I've owned probably 150 guns. And people frequently ask me questions about said guns. These two, yourself included, know more about the internal workings of a firearm than I could even, like, I had to have you help me put an AR together. And I'm like, this is really upsetting for me because I pride myself on knowing this shit and I don't know how to put a trigger together.
Yeah.
So you three got me beat.
Yeah.
I need to step my game up.
maybe when it comes to ARs, but I don't really know shit else.
Oh, I think I can. I honestly, and maybe that's just how my brain works, but I think I could disassemble and reassemble 75% of any firearm you put in front of me.
Yeah, a lot of them are, once you like really look at it, they're kind of self-explanatory. But the one gun I've taken apart and cleaned for a friend that I will never, ever do another one again is Ruger Mini 14.
Oh, Mini 14s suck. Just
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, they're just the rotating bullets, just like,
Well, and you got to tap that stupid little side plate out, and you're like, cocksucker, get out of it.
But train back on the tracks.
Yeah, we
Back
derailed
on the
from it.
tracks.
Sorry, Box. Back to you. First gun, 21 Spencer. That's where we left off.
But would you say that that's where your journey into, more of the freedom side of things began, is when you got a gun too, or what do you think?
I'm kind of different than the rest of you
we
guys.
all-
I kind of stay out of
we know.
all that stuff. I'm obviously the least political
Yeah.
of all of us. I'm like Toad. I want to be left the hell alone.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it means something to me, and it upsets me when I get on Facebook and I see these articles or watch the news and see all this shit about our freedoms being trampled on and stuff. But then I go down a rabbit hole when I get into that shit, and it makes me angry and miserable, so I stay away from it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, firearms have definitely had the most influence on me. I mean, probably getting into holsters actually would probably be
Right.
the biggest thing, because that's when I really started getting involved with the firearms community and stuff.
Sure.
And you made damn good holsters.
Actually, I still use one to this day. That's what that one is.
I'd like to get another one, but the company went out of business.
Actually, I got a few left. If you got the right model gun,
What
Am I gonna
model guns?
Am I
do you
gonna have
have?
to
I'll
buy a
tell you.
Glock just to buy one of your holsters?
I'll have to look and see what
You got a
kinds I got.
43X holster left?
Maybe. I'm positive. Actually, it very well might have one. of
Okay,
those.
if you have one left, an inside the waistband 43X,
All right.
I'll take it.
Well, it'd just be 43. They're the
Well,
same thing.
yeah,
but-
same thing.
So, and I think, like I was talking about the way me and Box were raised. Our parents weren't, like I said, they weren't real. Never heard them talk about politics, really ever. But I think
but they're pretty free people. You know what I mean? They
Dad
don't.
was a hippie back in the day. He had long hair and everything.
Oh, that
the-
automatically makes you a hippie?
Everything that was associated with that. He did join the Navy for a short time being, but he was medically discharged due to his back. He broke his back when he was 5 years old. So he was medically discharged because of that. So he was obviously, a patriotic guy. I mean, anybody that signs their name on the dotted line and joins the service,
Yeah.
they're obviously going to be fairly patriotic.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even I'm a very vocal person. I'm like, obviously, you guys know I'm extremely vocal. If I feel some way about something, I'm gonna fucking tell you, and I'm gonna let you know about it. And I think that I've even seen like a change in the way that they, since I've become so patriotic, I see them, kind of veering towards that way a little bit more too. And my older brother, he's, he thinks the same as us. So I think,
Well, and I think that, it's as things change over the years too, they've seen a lot more shit than we have, and they can kind of gauge just as well, if not better than we can, about what's actually going on in the country. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So for their viewpoints to start changing and really kind of shift to, being
folks.
patriotic and, really supporting freedom, it's not only because, our kids are really into this, we need to do it. You know what I mean? It's pretty easy for them to see how the world is turning.
Right.
They've seen a lot more shit than we have.
Yeah.
So
and I've spoke about this before, but I think actually social media has played a huge role. For me at least, just because everything is so you hear of everything. You know about everything going on in the country. All this little bullshit. Say Congress introduces a small bill, that has no chance of passing, but you're going to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, and I think, and I've
hate
said this
that.
many times. It's pushing the right farther right and the left farther left.
I think
And-
Facebook and social media platforms are one of the worst things that was ever invented.
Yeah.
Even though I use them daily, I still, just the amount of hatred and crap I see on those. I use them to follow like my bladesmithing groups and like my hunting pages and all that, things that I'm interested in. But invariably something pops up and it's like, why the am I looking at this? That doesn't make any sense. And then I start to go down a freaking rabbit hole, and you're like, and then you follow it and you're like, what the hell? And then of course every time Sam updates his status, for some reason, maybe it's because we're friends, I don't know if it's because our phones are in close proximity to each other all the time, it knows that I know him, and it tells me, and I look at it, Sam's gonna argue with an idiot again.
Yeah.
I really wish, and I know I can't do it, but I really wish I could just get off of all social media forever. I
Why
hate
not?
social media so much.
Why not? You can. John, there's quite a few of my friends don't have.
Clements
don't have
quit
Facebook
it.
anymore.
Wolf doesn't have it.
John Ranking hasn't had it for years.
Yeah,
You know, he's got.
I
think
suppose I could just remove all of my personal shit and just keep this stuff.
Yeah,
but-
you could. It makes it a little bit more tricky, but you know, or you could just start a generic Facebook group or Facebook and you know, use that to run everything else. But yeah, it does. I mean, it's not a necessary evil nowadays. It is for me, because you know, my business is 95% run off social media. So that sucks, you know. And social media also has its good spots.
There's definitely benefits to social media, and definitely as a small business owner, there's huge benefits to social media. But
and
as just an individual, man,
I found I was looking for the new Hollison 507K, and I could not find that son of a bitch anywhere. It's sold out freaking everywhere. And I put on my Facebook on Shyworks, says, "Hey, somebody find me one of these. I'll send you some swag if you." It was within a half.
Stop
an hour.
using that goddamn
Swag.
word. I hate you.
I'll send you some swag.
I'm gonna punch you.
But it was within a half hour. I had a line on a in stock for less. It was, they usually go for $289, I believe. I paid $259 for mine.
Hell yeah!
And it was just some random little store down there in Florida. So that was kind of. So I mean, so it's got that good aspect, you know, keeping in touch. They call it social media, keeping in touch with your close friends and family. You know, that's kind of nice. And
that's kind of what it did start out as. I remember when I first got, like, Facebook was around for years before I got it. I got it in 2009. An ex-girlfriend made my page, signed me up, all that, and I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen this person since high school, you know, or I lost touch with that cousin.
MySpace
I never had a MySpace
where
page.
it's at, man.
And
if anything taught you how to code and or how to program an HTML, MySpace, dog.
Yeah.
You wanted to change your background, boom, better learn HTML because that's what you got to use to change your background on your MySpace page.
Yep.
That shit was awesome.
Oh man, yeah.
it was so funny because, was it Tom?
Yep.
He sold that company for $500 million.
Cashed that check and bounced. He never did a fucking thing after.
6 months later, it was worth what, like $6 million, or
Yeah.
something like that.
How did that crash so hard? I mean, like,
It's Facebook killed it.
Mm-hmm.
they certainly didn't innovate and keep their, you know.
Nope.
Well, it's like, do you remember Napster?
Oh yeah, Napster was the shit,
Yeah.
man.
You had Napster, and then you had LimeWire, which was like having unsafe sex with the internet.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I killed our family's first computer with LimeWire.
Yep.
Yeah, you could download anything off Napster.
Good old peer-to-peer sharing.
Yeah. Good
Doesn't
stuff.
happen like that anymore.
No.
The Pirate Bay.
Yeah, that was
Pirate
big
Bay.
for a while with
Pirate Bay
torrents
was
and
good.
shit.
BitTorrenting.
Yeah, I
illegally.
downloaded the
Boy,
Jason
Toad, you're
Bourne
just really
movie.
incriminating the out of yourself right now.
It's dead. I don't care. There's a statute of limitations on things like that. I downloaded one of the Jason Bourne movies one time, and I was excited to watch it, and I turned it on, and it wasn't a Jason Bourne movie.
It was a Jason Bone movie.
No, it was something else. And I was like, what the f***? Delete.
Now I'm curious, what kind of movie was it?
I'm not going to tell you.
Snuff movie?
Man on man. No, it was a... No.
Tranny?
Nope. Just no.
Midget porn?
No, nothing with kids or anything like that. It just it wasn't a good movie to watch, and I just it was like 10 seconds and I was like, nope, not it.
I was just watching it, waiting for the women to come.
The girls never came.
They just never came.
They never came.
The girl.
But yeah,
They never do they?
That was about 12 years ago, and I think I was like in college, and I was like, oh yeah, the new Bourne movie. I was like, fuck yeah, download. All excited. It took like 2 days. And
took like 2 days. I love that.
And,
good old dial-up internet. That shit was awesome.
Turned it on. I was like, "What the fuck?" No.
I remember the first. Do you guys remember the first dirty picture you saw online?
Oh yeah.
I do. I was like, why is she licking an ice cream cone? Oh God, it's not an ice cream cone.
Yep, I remember.
And it was one of those where it was dial up over at Andrew Hanson's
So it
house.
kinda
And it's
just-
just like
line
slowly
by
going
line.
down, and you're like, oh yeah, this is getting good. You're like, what?
Pixel by pixel.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Good old 56K modem. Anybody need a 56K modem?
No one does anymore.
Why would anyone? sell
I'm
me
just
those?
asking. I've got 8 of them if you need one.
Well, I guess.
Box?
Do you got any of the AOL CDs that allow you to get online for a certain amount of time? Remember that you get those in the mail? They give you a certain amount of minutes.
Yep.
Dude, I found a stack.
Yeah, because it was off of your phone line, so you had to pay long distance for that.
I haven't looked in my old Foot Locker from college for years, and I was moving some stuff around, and I found it upstairs a couple weeks back, and I was like, "Oh, what's in here?" Just a bunch of shirts and stuff I had back then.
Porn mags.
None
Oh.
whatsoever. That's one thing I never had.
Playboys.
I've never owned a Playboy.
Penthouse.
Nothing.
Hustlers.
Nope.
I had a girlfriend subscribe me to them one time,
I remember that.
and then so what happened was they paid she paid the first year, and then the second year they just kept sending me send me a bill. I never paid the fucking bill, so it went to collections. I had a lawyer calling me about collecting on the $10 Playboy debt.
Yeah.
I never did pay it.
But I found in that Foot Locker was a brand new stack of those 2.5 megabyte floppies.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
You're like, I wonder what's on any of these.
No, they're all
2.5
wrapped up in packages.
Oh, they're
It
all
was
new?
brand new.
Those are the little floppies or the big floppies?
They were the
No,
little
those are
ones.
the big ones were 8-inchers.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, how far
do you
we
remember?
came.
Do you remember playing Oregon Trail on the school computers on
Oh, yeah.
an 8-inch floppy disk?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, those were the days.
Do you remember the
Man.
messenger when they'd let you play? You could pull up that messenger deal and it was linked to all the computers, so you could talk to your friends even though they're 6 feet away.
Right?
I
Yeah.
thought that was the coolest thing.
Uh-huh.
ever.
Yeah.
Good
Technology.
Yeah. My wife
Good
and
times.
I were actually talking about the other night about MSN Messenger
Yeah.
and AOL Messenger. You remember you'd get
Oh, yeah.
home, you'd get home and hop on the internet quick before your parents got home and message your middle school crush or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
You'd be on MSN Messenger messaging that
Oh,
person.
my crush is on. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd get all excited talking to this girl or whatever, and then your parents get home and be like, I gotta go, because you didn't dare be on the fucking phone line when your parents got home. Jesus Christ.
Oh, we were big time. We had a second phone line, so we were. Yeah.
Boy, you guys were living the lap of luxury.
Dude,
No, I got my ass chewed. It was like, I'm trying to use the phone. It was like, oh, shit.
Dude, I remember when we got our first cell phone, and it was bigger than one of these Celtic cans.
Oh, yeah.
Just a brick.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then not long after that, Dad's like, yeah, we got the satellite TV people coming out. Satellite TV?
Whoa.
What is that?
Yeah.
that
it was
sounds awesome.
It was called Prime Star. It was like the precursor to DirecTV. I think DirecTV bought them.
Did that have to have the enormous swimming pool dish?
Not that one, but the dish they put on our house was rather large. I do remember that. But I remember when I still lived in town as a kid, somebody down the street did get the satellite TV, and they had this swimming pool sized dish in their yard, anchored into the ground with a big ass block of concrete.
No, we never had that. We didn't even have a TV growing up, so we didn't have none of that shit. But Feltz had cable, and that was
That's
pretty
something.
awesome. When I stay over at his house, the HBO comes on, and it gets a little bit risque about 10 o'clock at night. Oh boy, I was living the high life when that was going on. But hey, Toad, did you say you had a time travel?
Take a look, it's in a book. Time traveling with Toad. With Toad.
God, that's awesome. Every
God,
time.
that
You know what's
is
even
incredible.
funnier is I was watching a clip from Community earlier, the TV show Community, which is pretty hilarious. And LeVar Burton was on there, and they started singing that, and I was like, "Oh fuck, that's where those guys got that."
Yeah, you never realized that?
No, I didn't. So I switched it up to
By dying.
Toad's dying.
Rona. No, I switched it up today because we were chainsawing trees this morning, so we're not talking about guns today. Sure. I got curious. I was like, when was the first chainsaw invented?
Interesting.
Was it? why I have this idea in my head that it was like a bicycle frame that somebody would pedal.
Nope.
Dang it.
1830.
No shit.
Is that before the bicycle?
It was the first type of chainsaw. It was called the
Now I gotta
osteotomy, and it was used for cutting. It literally translates into bone saw in like Greek.
Decent.
And some guy who made it. It looks weird. It's hand cranked. Can you imagine having some? He was an orthopedist or something in Germany, but it's like this little thing that you hold in your hand. There's a crank on the side. Can you imagine? He's like, "Yep, got to cut your arm off." And he's standing there, and it's just running all over fucking.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, that looks traumatic as hell.
Back in the
understand how you would even operate that.
Well, and my thing is,
Like that.
if you're using that on a human being, is that so? 1830, is that person even? Is there local anesthetics?
I think they had. It was called laudanum.
Or did they just pour alcohol on it and just go
They
to
probably
town?
just got him stoned on opium. And
Well,
like,
yeah,
punched
probably.
him in the head.
Right? Yeah, socked him in the...
It says
Here's a pipe. Dong! Let's cut his arm off quick.
with the
before he wakes
invention
up.
of the osteotomy, surgeons could perform craniotomies with smooth-edged holes
Holy shit.
and cut in topographies that didn't allow access with a circular saw. The osteotomy was technically the first chainsaw invented, although it wasn't used for cutting wood. 1861, the Hamilton saw was invented, which was a hand-cranked chainsaw used by two men that looked like a giant spinning wheel. There's not a picture of that one. In the 1880s, the American riding saw made its debut with another human-powered chainsaw. This type, however, looked like a rowing machine with a single person sat on and would operate.
So they use this to cut people's melons open, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
They used to cut
I'm guessing
people's skulls
the
up.
success rate was pretty low.
I'm guessing the death rate was pretty high.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the smell of like that
Bone dust?
Oh man.
Have you know like when you cut bones of like a deer with a sawzall, you get that whiff. Can you imagine having a hand crank through that shit through somebody's skull? Ugh.
I don't know, but then the earliest patent on record for an endless chainsaw that had chain teeth that ran around a guide frame was granted to Samuel J. Benz on January 17, 1905. The first portable chainsaw was patented in 1918 by Canadian James Shand. However, it was quite bulky and impractically used, so it wasn't a huge success. 1926, German mechanical engineer Andreas Still patented the first electric chainsaw to be used for logging purposes. 3 years later, in 1929, Still developed a gas-powered chainsaw version. However, Emil Lerp, founder of Dolmar chainsaws, I actually remember Dolmar.
So, like steel, obviously, steel, however you pronounce it. That they were one of the very first, or the very first, logging chainsaws.
Here's the thing. It said Emil Lerp, founder of Dolmar Chainsaw Company, had already begun manufacturing gas-powered chainsaws in 1927. Still started in 1929. And then it says, although Still and Dolmar both created chainsaws around the same time, Andreas Still is credited as the person who invented the mobile and motorized chainsaw. And as anybody that uses chainsaws, you know, about the best in the world is Still.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot better than it. Yours is really nice and heavier than shit, though.
Oh, yeah, she's
Johnsard.
heavy.
My dad's a Johnsard man.
Johnsards were known for making really, really good chainsaws, but I don't even know if they make them anymore.
I haven't seen one in a long time. I haven't seen a new one ever. I don't
say
think.
they were famous for making good chainsaws. Same with McCullough. McCullough's not in business
McCullough,
anymore.
yeah, McCullough made some good saws.
I have a
well,
McCullough.
and that's funny that Still made an electric version in the 20s.
Do you want to see it?
Before he made a gas powered version.
Look at the size of that thing,
Which is
cutting through
really-
a redwood.
Huh. How big is
Holy
it?
shit! Well, it's about a 7-foot bar.
Wow,
At
that's
least.
He has a hold of the other end.
pretty
So
wild.
he's holding it, and then he's got the end of it.
So here's my question, Toad. You know, like on an old crosscut saw, you've got a hole on the end for your screw on.
Yeah.
Your screw on handle.
Mhm.
I have a hole in the end of my chainsaw bar.
No.
Can we hook a handle onto that? What if you had like a 72-inch bar on a chainsaw? Could you hook a screw-on handle
Just
onto
put
that?
a long screwdriver through it and use that. as a
Right,
handle.
yeah.
Don't be a
Boy.
sissy. Suction,
No.
just suction.
No, he sounds...
I don't even think a 72-inch bar would be feasible because it would just go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd
it'd
flex
be
so
so-
much.
I mean,
Well, that's why you need the handle on the end.
yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'll run the saw. You hold the handle.
Okay.
Let's see. In 1950, the first one-man chainsaw was put into production, but it was still quite heavy, around 30 pounds or more. In 1964, the first anti-vibration
Still
system.
like STILL or STIHL. Still quite heavy.
STIHL. Yeah, I get you.
See what I did there?
1964, the first anti-vibration system was added to a chainsaw to make it easier to hold for longer periods of time. 1972, the manual chain brake bar was added to steel chainsaws to stop the chain from spinning when the bar was pressed back during kickback.
Yeah.
1974, low-profile chains were developed by Oregon to reduce the chances of kickback. I don't know if anybody that's ever used a chainsaw has experienced that. I haven't.
I have. It hurts.
My dad had one time. We were cutting trees at my uncle's farm, and he was using an old home light, which not the same one, but I own an old home light. Sounds like a two-stroke dirt bike on crack.
Mm-hmm.
It kicked back out of the tree and went right across his kneecap. Just fucking laid him open.
Ooh.
My aunt was a nurse, and she came out. This was probably 1997, 96. She's like, June, what the hell did you do to yourself? Well, sis, a chainsaw got me a little bit. He's just bleeding profusely from the kneecap, you know. And she comes out with a medical bag and a cardboard tub of Morton table salt.
Ooh.
And I didn't know any better at the time.
Ooh.
And she cleans the wound off with gauze, just starts pouring a shitload of salt on it. I'd never seen my dad shed a tear until right then, and it just kind of leaked out of the corner of his eye, and he's just like, got all red in the face. Oh man, that had to suck. Stopped it from bleeding though. 1977, Oregon released chainsaw blades that had thinner tip, nicknamed banana bars. This asymmetrical shape with a similar bar, that's not important. 1982, the automatic chain brake was developed. 1991, the automatic starting function was added to chainsaws to replace the pull cord. I have never seen an automatic starting chainsaw. Must not have been a big hit.
Yeah. No, the only time I've ever experienced kickback, it was pretty minimal.
You know what?
Trying to like plunge cut something and you know, it slams back on you, but it never really did anything.
Today, with extremely portable and lightweight chainsaws that operate with gasoline, electricity, and batteries, you can also choose a number of guide bar lengths from 6 inches to 72.
Yeah. 6-inch.
I have a 10-inch.
Is that what you tell her?
I bought a, just because I had the Homelight XL12, the big Homelight, I bought the Homelight XL on an auction. It's an arborist saw. It's got like a 10-inch bar. Really thin bar.
Arborist saws are cool, though, because they have, like... So, you know, on, like, a normal body of a chainsaw, there's the engine, and then the handle comes off the back of it opposite the bar, right? And that's where your trigger, you know, your throttle and everything is. When arborist saw, there is no tail section to it. It's just the engine and the handle's on top. There's not like, you know, like the full bar. And generally, the handle is just on top. So your throttle's basically just top on top of the engine.
This one has a little handle on the back of it.
Does it? Because most of, like, if you look at any of the new still arborist saws, they're all just, or Husqvarna, they all just have, basically, you're holding a little handle on top of the engine with the throttle on it and stuff. They're super compact. But
This thing's tiny. I mean, like the housing, you take the bar off and it's like this big.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Box, did you have a...
Although I will say this, never let uneducated people put liquids into your chainsaw.
Oh, Jesus. I knew you were going to fucking say this.
I'll
tell the fucking story.
I had a friend
I'll
one
tell
time.
the fucking story. We were out cutting wood, and I was never used his chainsaw before. I was in a hurry, fucking put gas in the bar.
He's like, it won't start. I was like, did you put gas in? He's like, yeah. So I opened up the gas cap. There's nothing in there. I was like,
No, you didn't.
That was my bad.
Turns out you just dump it all out on the ground, and
Wow,
that gasoline really thinned out the remaining bar oil, though.
Yeah.
I
can imagine.
I would say so. Box, you'll be happy to know that I updated my phone.
That is the baddest.
Son of a bitch.
I have ever seen ever. Yeah, it's the best dude of the week.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've actually heard that.
You're welcome.
Heard that right, anyway.
It's been a long time since
Right.
I've heard that much enthusiasm in your voice.
Yeah, it really gets me going. This week's baddest dude of the week is probably fairly well known. They made a movie about him a few years ago. His name's Desmond Doss, and the movie was Hacksaw Ridge. I think it came out in like 2016 or something. Mel Gibson movie, or he directed it rather. This guy was a Seventh-day Adventist, and he was the first guy to go into the Army as a conscientious objector and win the Medal of Honor. Go in voluntarily as a conscientious objector. I can't say that fucking word.
Conscientious.
So I
can't either.
None of us can.
Conscientious objector.
Yes.
objector.
Boy,
I think
we're all
Alvin
Sam today.
Didn't Alvin York win the Medal of Honor?
So what is...
No, that's not. This is different. I don't know anything about Alvin York, I guess. But this guy, he wouldn't handle a gun. Was his thing. That was his objection because it was against his religion. So he went in to be a medic because he wanted to help, but he didn't. He wanted to help by. There was a quote by him about wanting to help by putting things back together rather than tearing things apart with war or something like that. And none of his buddies in the Army or the military, they were not about it. They all gave him a really hard time, like his superiors and shit. They'd give him all these terrible jobs, just try and get him to quit. And they court-martialed him one time to try and get him out because he wouldn't pick up a gun, but that failed. Then finally, during World War II, he kind of proved himself, and he started saving a bunch of people. And we're like, all right, he's coming around. We can really count on this guy. Then Hacksaw Ridge happened, which, if you don't know, Hacksaw Ridge there was all these Japanese up on top of this rock face, and they climbed up. They used like a cargo net or something to climb up this ridge, and they just got kind of slaughtered at the top of them. Like there was 100 Americans or something up there that just got slaughtered by all these Japanese guys. And the commanding officer, he immediately ordered a retreat because there was no way they could do anything about it. But this Desmond Doss guy, he totally ignored the order, and he just stuck around up there, and he kept hauling guys back. He ended up saving. There's reports between some guys say 50 and like his comrades or whatever, fellow guys, they say he saved up to like 100 guys that day. Jesus. Just by that. I thought that was
wow.
Pretty,
and he never carried a gun in war.
Nope.
Like
never carried a gun.
boy.
You got to have some balls right there to be like, yeah, I'm going to go to World War II without a freaking gun.
Yeah.
Right?
And I won't touch one, even if I really need to.
Yeah. He ended up getting blown up by a grenade, and he was pretty badly hurt from that. But even then, he was like, no, take these guys. Don't take me. I'll go last, whatever. Even when he was blown up, he was still like, no, help them. I'll go later. Don't worry about me.
Huh.
Sounds like a hell of a
That's
dude.
a bad son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's a bad son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was his name?
Desmond Doss.
Desmond Doss. I've never seen that movie.
I kind of want to watch it. I watched the trailer for it today. It looked pretty good.
I'd have to check it out.
What a douche! So, we generally have a Florida man segment here, but this week it's a California man. So the level of ignorance,
too. So,
the level of ignorance is pretty well, even. There was a guy in the wee hours of Monday morning, last Monday in Sacramento, or outside of Sacramento, that there was a phone call to emergency services for someone that needed help. So this guy called emergency services, and this is the part that blows my mind, is this guy at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm guessing hammered drunk. They didn't say in the story whether or not he was drunk. but found himself stuck in a pond with his vehicle, is what he told the dispatchers. He was stuck in a pond, and he needed help getting out. So obviously when, the dispatcher hears there's a man who has drove into a pond and he needs help getting out, they're, like, okay, this shit could be serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he sent the fire department out to retrieve this guy. Well, he gave pretty vague directions. He was outside a dairy farm. Somewhere near a dairy farm. And
it's not a pond.
So he had been trying to get out for an hour on his own, right? He drove into this thing and was like, oh shit, maybe I can back out of here. He'd been trying for an hour to get out on his own. Couldn't get out. Fire department showed up 50 minutes later. So he had been in this pond for 2 hours. So turns out when you're near a dairy farm and there's a large body of water, it's not actually water. It is a manure holding tank. So this guy drove into a shit pond, got stuck, tried to get out for an hour before he called. And that's the thing, is I don't understand why would he not call a tow truck or one of his buddies or some,
Well, maybe he wasn't.
somebody
Maybe
with a
he
truck.
wasn't hammered drunk. So then he felt the need. He could call emergency services. I mean, I'm guessing he probably was f***ed up. Yeah.
Why would you, like, if you were sober and you got stuck, would you call the fire department?
No, but
no. No.
Have you ever had to go in a shit pit?
Oh yeah, it's
bad.
Absolutely awful.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So
time out. Why would you have to go in a shit pit?
Pillar, not the pillar,
Concrete.
but the concrete slat collapsed and dropped baby pigs down there, and I had to go get them out.
No, mine was with hogs, or not with hogs, but with cattle.
Yeah,
it was a shit pond for cattle. But.
Yeah, no, somebody else is gonna have to do this job.
Yep.
Yeah.
The old school pit housings on some of those buildings, they build them with plastic inserts, these knobs that would stick out, so you could just crawl down.
Yeah, pretty miserable.
Yeah, it was horrible. I had shit up to my freaking here.
Yeah,
had to get shots after that.
Yep, same here. But anyway, this guy, they said those stories said that by the time that the fire department got there, his entire vehicle was engulfed in manure. So this thing was clearly, he just kept getting it worse, more and more stuck, or farther and farther into the pond as he was trying to get out. And ended up basically the whole vehicle was awash because it was, they said, basically up to the windows. He was standing in the bed of the truck, and the whole interior of the vehicle was full of manure by the time they got there.
That's a emergency call that when I come over the pager. Yep, I'm busy, guys. Sorry. I got other shit going on.
You just slammed 3 beers. Ooh, sorry.
Sorry.
Tough break.
I heard a story years ago, and I think it was one of my older teachers that told it, but when they first put the lagoons in out here, they had some bicyclists doing a tour through town who weren't from here, and they went swimming out in the shit pond.
Oh, tough break.
Don't you think you'd kind of notice something's a little bit funky?
You would think.
I suppose they didn't have those fountains like they got now, but why are these 2 ponds perfectly square? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Dumbasses.
Boy, look at these poor Iowa folk with their square swimming pools that are really just ponds.
I remember when I applied for the city job here in town a couple years back, Steve-O told me, he goes, well, one of the things you'll have to do is go out and clean off the aerators and shit ponds from a boat. I was like, fuck, I don't want to do that.
Can I just give me that resume back? I don't need to give that to you.
Take me out of contention for this job, please.
Oh, well, boys, I suppose we should call her an episode. It's been a fun one as usual.
It's been odd. Mm-hmm. We've talked about a very diverse set of subjects that have really gone off the rails into
You're welcome. You're welcome.
strange
I feel like
directions.
at least
really like
there was 3 of us that had pretty good energy going on this podcast. There's one of us that was kind of lagging.
Look at him just sitting over there. He's
You know,
like,
All he wants to do is make the hour-and-a-half drive back to his house and just crash.
No,
All
he
he's
doesn't
thinking
want to
is-
make that drive. He just wants to crash.
I think all he's sitting here is doing is going, God, I wish you guys would just shut the f up so I can just end this recording.
I'm mostly thinking about how hot it is and how annoyed I am with these flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is getting a little warm in here. So
Oh, here, one more thing. Speaking of flies. So, last night when I got home, I'd had my window down. And, you know, my window's got problems. You fixed it the one time. I actually fixed it today with some 3400 PSI epoxy. So if that bitch breaks again, I'm going to be real pissed. Basically what happened, I've owned the same truck for 14 years. So one winter, I was trying to go to the drive-up ATM, and the window had frozen, and I was pushing the button down. Well, it basically came out of the cradle. Like the sealant they used at the factory finally failed, and my window was just like, well, shit. So last night, I rolled it down, and I forgot to do the thing where I actually put my hand on the window and help it guide it down so it stays in the cradle. And, well, it fell down, and I got home last night, and I was like, I'm so tired and just
Hammered,
thing.
drunk. I'm not messing with it.
I wasn't really hammered drunk.
yeah, you were.
No, I wasn't. And anyway, I was like, it. It's not supposed to rain. I'm going to leave it down. Well,
That was
came
a
out
mistake.
came out this morning to go to your house, and I was like, wow, there's like 8 million flies in this fucking thing. So I took fly spray from my work truck and was just like, just through the window, kind of fogged it a little bit. Then I rolled all the windows down, put the window back in the cradle, had to take the door frame off, or the door panel off, and I'm getting pretty good at that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I can do that in about 10 minutes.
I did notice the nice, like, 1.5-inch wood screws
Oh, yeah.
that hold the, like, window switch panel into the door panel.
Yep. I actually redid those right before I came here.
Oh, that's quality.
Yeah, they're now 2 inches.
Ooh. Fancy.
Pretty soon he's going to have like 6 inches. He's going to be poking out
There's
of his
just going to
door.
be lag bolts through the outside of the door.
Yeah, that old truck, she needs replaced.
So next on the podcast, we're going to read the first 7 chapters of the Iliad from, I don't even remember who wrote that.
Homer.
Wow.
I have the
Do you
Iliad.
know the
I have,
other
I have the
book
Iliad
that
and the
Homer
Odyssey.
wrote?
No, I have no idea.
I have both of those.
The Odyssey. Iliad and the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They were actually both really
You
just
ever read 'em?
long
They
poems.
are
Yeah.
really good.
I did a book report on them in college, or not college, but high school.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to pass on those.
They're really
Yeah, they're
good.
really just one stupid fucking long poem.
What are
Yeah.
they? What's it? What are they? I mean, is there a storyline?
Yeah,
or-
there is.
You ever heard of the phrase, it's a goddamn Greek tragedy?
yeah.
They were Greek tragedies.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that comes from. They're just one really long epic telling of a war, basically.
Yeah. So
Well-
you know the movie? Oh, bitch! That fly really f***ed that up for me. You know the movie? Oh brother, where art thou?
Yeah.
That's the Odyssey by Homer, basically in a movie in modern times.
Oh, well, interesting. All right.
Yeah. So there's
Good to
like
know.
a lot of representations of that.
Learn
book in
something
there.
every day.
I forget which one told the story of Odysseus, though.
Couldn't tell you. Well, boys and girls,
That might have been the Odyssey.
it's been a fun one as usual. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back in 2 weeks, of course. Make sure to check out our Gears and Beers live every other Wednesday night on our Facebook at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And
And if you get on there Wednesday and we're not live, try again the next Wednesday. Then you'll be on schedule.
Absolutely. Also, make sure and check out Ballistic Imagery on Facebook and his ballisticimagery.com, as well as Shyworks. I was Cerakote certified customer preferred applicator. Shyworks.com on Facebook, Instagram. Can help you out with whatever you need there. So, anyways, guys, thanks for sticking around. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and until you talk to next, I feel
That's
like
about par for the course.
I feel like
this episode,
I feel like
guess.
that Jim Carrey movie.
Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, and until we talk to you next time, remember, life's short, live free, God bless.
God bless America.
And my tiny little nipples went to France.
Oh, fuck.